Hey guys, so today's video is going to be all about my favorite personal development sort of books. A lot of these are very faith-leaning, but a couple of them are not. Just want to preface this with that. I am an audiobook listener. Yes, it still counts. I can't stand it when people claim that it doesn't count because I personally comprehend and remember and am able to recall concepts more efficiently when I listen to the book. Especially a lot of the times what happens is I will listen to a book, and if I love it so much and I want to learn more and comprehend it better and mark up a physical book, I will purchase a physical copy and listen to it while I'm reading along in the physical copy, highlighting, writing notes, all of that good stuff. So I do use Audible to listen to all of my audiobooks. I highly recommend it if you're just not a reader but you want to be a reader. I think you should give audiobooks a try. It's saved me. It's helped me so much. I've read so many books. More books than I think I've ever read my entire lifetime since I started using Audible maybe a year ago. So let's just go ahead and jump right on into it. Now, these books I didn't rank them in any specific order from like favorite to least favorite or vice versa. I just want to share all of my favorites with you. There is maybe one that I guess I'll start with that is my all-time favorite book, I think. And it is called The Purpose-Driven Life. The Purpose-Driven Life is far more than just a book. It is a guide to a spiritual journey that has transformed millions of lives. Once you take this journey, you'll never be the same again. On your journey, you'll find the answers to 3 of life's most important questions. The question of existence, why am I alive? The question of significance, does my life matter? The question of purpose, what on earth am I here for? Start your journey today. So if you are a Christ follower, this book is so incredibly eye-opening, and it really talks about how you find your specific purpose, not only just the Christian answer to live for God, but it also addresses the fact that this is earth and we have bills to pay, and how you can find what God is calling you to do that will get you a paycheck but also honor him at the same time. So that book is just so incredibly helpful. It was very helpful to me. It was very inspiring to me. It was very eye-opening, and it answered a lot of the questions that I have about life and why am I here and what do I do while I'm here, kind of a thing. So my second book is called Uninvited. It's by Lysa TerkHeurst, Living Loved When You Feel Less Than, Left Out, and Lonely. And the title and the little subtitle of this book really spoke to me because this is something I struggled with more in my younger years. Throughout middle school and high school, I always felt uninvited. I always felt left out. Girls are mean, especially when they're young. I was certainly not a saint in those years, but I always felt left out, or I was always leaving somebody out, or, you know, just very cliquey in my younger years. And even now that I'm older, since I've been married, it's kind of just me and my husband, which I am not complaining, but I think friendship and community is really important. So this title alone really spoke to me, and that's what made me want to read it. I also love Lysa TerkHeurst. The enemy wants us to feel rejected, left out, lonely, and less than. When we allow him to speak lies through our rejection, he pickpockets our purpose, cripples our courage, dismantles our dreams, and blinds us to the beauty of Christ's powerful love. In Uninvited, Lysa shares her own deeply personal experiences with rejection, from the incredible painful childhood abandonment by her father to the perceived judgment of the perfectly toned woman one elliptical over. With biblical depth, gut-honest vulnerability, and refreshing wit, Lysa helps listeners release the desire to fall apart or control the actions of others by embracing God-honoring ways to process their hurt, know exactly what to pray for the next 10 days to steady their souls and restore their confidence. Overcome the 2 core fears that feed our insecurities by understanding the secret of belonging. Stop feeling left out and start believing that set apart does not mean set aside. End the cycle of perceived rejection by refusing to turn a small incident into a full-blown issue. Another one by Lysa TerkHeurst that came out shortly after Uninvited, I read that one as well. It's called It's Not Supposed to Be This Way. And she kind of goes into a very vulnerable state, talking about how her husband had an affair, and she had found out while, I believe, like the edits were going through of Uninvited, where she was talking about feeling rejected, and then she finds out right before that book releases that her husband had an affair. So this book is more about God's plan and why did it go this way? It wasn't supposed to go this way. It was supposed to be this way. A loving God would feel this way. A loving God who is all powerful would make this happen instead of this happen. Things like that. And this book, I do prefer It's Not Supposed to Be This Way over Uninvited. I think that It's Not Supposed to Be This Way is very, very, very relatable to almost anyone. There's no human on the face of the planet, I'm convinced, that has ever not felt that way of it wasn't supposed to be like this. This was not my plan. This was not the plan. It was supposed to go this way. Why would God let this happen when this was supposed to be the way that I saw my life going? Life often looks so very different than we hoped or expected. Some events may simply catch us off guard for a moment, but others shatter us completely. We feel disappointed and disillusioned, and we quietly start to wonder about the reality of God's goodness. Lysa TerkHeurst understands this deeply. She also discovered that our disappointments can be divine appointments our souls need to radically encounter God. In It's Not Supposed to Be This Way, Lysa invites us into her own journey of faith. She talks about an instance in this book that I remember driving. I was driving to school, I'm sure, and just bawling my face off. Not the safest while you're driving, but that's always been the biggest question, at least in my mind, is that's why I don't watch the news. That's why I struggle on Twitter, because I see all these things happening in the world and I'm like, God, why? You're like, why? Why would a good God let all of this happen? And she talks about, in this book, she was diagnosed with, oh gosh, I'm pretty sure it was cancer. It was a while ago that I read this book, so I don't remember, but there was some medical issue where she was in the hospital and she had just very suddenly was in so much pain. This is while she was finding out that her husband had an affair. So you can imagine the mental state she's in. She's laying in this hospital bed and she's in so much pain, and she starts asking herself, why? Why would God let this happen? The God I love loves me and would never want me to be in this pain. And she said that, I don't know if it was a dream that she had or she just started imagining it, but she was imagining Jesus standing next to her bed and just sobbing. And I think that was just such a beautiful picture of God hurts when we hurt. John 11:35, Jesus wept. It's the exact same thing that happened when Lazarus died in the Bible and Jesus comes to bring him back to life, but before he does, he just lays by his bedside weeping, because just because God is all-knowing and all-powerful doesn't mean that we're gonna have perfect lives. We are still gonna go through stuff because this is a broken world and we are a broken people, but that doesn't mean that God's standing up in heaven saying, well, that's what you get, you're a broken people, so no, he's sad. He cries and he weeps when we're weeping, and he's sad when we're sad, and that is a big takeaway that I took from It's Not Supposed to Be This Way. Another one I really loved is called The Love Dare. This is for all you hopeless romantics out there, I would say. I was gonna say married people, but they can totally benefit from this even if you're not married. Single, dating, engaged, married, of any status, you could totally benefit from this book. It's phenomenal. With more than 5 million copies in print in nearly 24 languages, The Love Dare has become an exciting, enriching journey for couples around the world. Though unconditional love is promised at weddings, it is rarely practiced in real life. As a result, romantic hopes often fade into disappointment at home. But it doesn't have to stay that way. Whether your marriage is hanging by a thread or healthy and strong, this 40-day journey challenges husbands and wives to understand and practice unconditional love. So this is sort of like a plan sort of a thing. I listen to it just front to back in my car driving to school, but it is like sort of like a plan format. You're supposed to listen to, you know, day one or read day one, and then I believe there's like a little challenge at the end of every day to help you learn how to love your spouse better and how to actually strive toward unconditional love. This one is very not Christianly. I'm gonna call it The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Hoot. You've probably heard of this book. It is absolutely phenomenal. This is one that I need to purchase a physical copy and listen to it over and over and over again and highlight the crap out of it, because this is a book that I needed. I still need, not as much as I used to because I'm doing better, but I don't know what happened to me. But I used to be so much fun when I was a kid. Like, I would just love to laugh. One of my best friends, I just remember just laughing so hard at my cheeks hurt, peed my pants. Like, this is when I was a kid. And somewhere along the line, middle school, high school, early adulthood, I just had such a stick my tush. I was just so uptight, and I still can be, but it started affecting my marriage in a way that I was not okay with. I was not gonna live the rest of my life like that. And all of a sudden, I don't remember the moment, but I remember all of a sudden, I was like, I don't wanna be like that anymore. I wanna have fun. I wanna laugh with my husband. I want to make my husband laugh. I want my husband to be happy, and my husband's happy when I'm happy. So I have enough time, and there will be enough instances in my life where I'm miserable and, you know, life is gonna do something to me where I get knocked down. And so I have the power to be happy when I can be. I don't want to spend my life with a stick up there and just being so uptight. And my husband is so laid back and he just goes with the flow, and I have always wanted more of that in me. So I would say in about the past year, I've been making moves to make that my new mentality, and I think this book helped a lot. In this generation-defining self-help guide, a superstar blogger cuts through the crap to show us how to stop trying to be positive all the time so that we can truly become better, happier people. For decades, we've been told that positive thinking is the key to a happy, rich life. Forget positivity, Mark Manson says. Let's be honest. Stuff is messed up, and we have to live with it. In this wildly popular internet blog, Manson doesn't sugarcoat or equivocate. He tells it like it is. A dose of raw, refreshing, honest truth that is sorely lacking today. The subtle art of not giving a hoot is his antidote to the coddling, let's all feel good mindset that has affected modern society and spoiled a generation, rewarding them with gold medals for just showing up. Manson makes the argument, backed by both academic research and well-timed poop jokes, that improving our lives hinges not on our ability to turn lemons into lemonade, but on learning to stomach lemons better. Human beings are flawed and limited. Not everybody can be extraordinary. There are winners and losers in society, and some of it is not fair or your fault. Manson advises us to get to know our limitations and accept them. Once we embrace our fears, faults, and uncertainties, once we stop running and avoiding and start confronting painful truths, we can begin to find the courage, perseverance, honesty, responsibility, curiosity, and forgiveness we seek. There are only so many things we can give a hoot about, so we need to figure out which ones really matter. While money is nice, caring about what you do with your life is better, because true wealth is about experience. A much needed grab you by the shoulders and look you in the eye moment of real talk, filled with entertaining stories and profane, ruthless humor. The subtle art of not giving a hoot is a refreshing slap for a generation to help them lead contented, grounded lives. That is a wonderful synopsis of that book. I wish I did already have the print physical copy so I could read the line that stuck with me most to you guys. I don't remember it verbatim, but I know it had something to do with why you shouldn't lead your life with emotions. I'm a Pisces and I'm a number 2 on the Enneagram, so I very much so lead my life with emotion. I am a very sensitive cookie. And he says something in the book about how, you know, don't lead your life with emotion, because you know who leads their lives with emotion is dogs and 2-year-olds. You know what else dogs and 2-year-olds do? Shit on the carpet. And I remember hearing that line in my car and just busting up laughing. 1, because it's funny, and 2, because it's so true. I have always been very guilty of living my life with emotion, and maybe that's not the best way to do it. Alright, I also love Afraid of All the Things by Scarlett Hiltibidal. Tornadoes, cancer, adoption, and other stuff you need the gospel for. I love that little subtitle. Growing up in the green room of SNL, being born to a fire eater and adopted by a SWAT cop, having internal organs explode, and adopting a deaf girl from China, Scarlett Hiltibidal has been given some strange life experiences and lived in fear through most of them. But life changed for Scarlett when she learned to hold the gospel up to her fears and realized that though she can't fix herself or protect herself, Jesus walked into this broken, sad, scary place to rescue, love, and cast out her and your fear. So I'm also a very scared person. I live my life with emotion. One of those emotions is fear. That's where a lot of my anxiety stems from, is fear. And so I heard Scarlett Hiltibidal on Jamie Ivey's podcast, The Happy Hour. It's my favorite podcast. I love it. And she was talking about her book, and I immediately wanted to read it because I'm a very scared person, and it is a phenomenal book. I absolutely love it. It is very personal to the author. She talks about a lot of her own personal experiences, and then she draws on, you know, how the gospel and how Jesus got her through those things, and it's very inspiring. There's a lot of takeaways, and it just really made me feel not alone. It was very relatable to me specifically because I feel like not everybody is so affected by fear. Like I said, my husband is so easygoing, so go with the flow. I am more uptight and I get scared easier. Not only is it okay to like feel the fear, yes, I feel the fear, but I sometimes let that hinder me and I let it hold me back. So Afraid of All the Things, that was a good read for me, and I think anybody else who deals with fear would probably like that one too. Speaking of Jamie Ivey, I of course had to try out her book. It's called If You Only Knew, My Unlikely Unavoidable Story of Becoming Free. This one, she does get very vulnerable. She has a podcast that has like a zillion million episodes. I don't know. She's been doing the podcast for like 4 years, 5 years, I think. And there's a lot of things about her past that she hasn't shared until now in this book. So she gets very vulnerable in this book, and I think it's just absolutely amazing. It's really a testament to what you don't know about a person, especially these days with the internet. It seems like you know every single thing about a person, but you only see what they show you. Among our greatest fears is the dread of what others would think of us if they only knew. The parts of our past we hope to forget, the parts of our present we work to conceal. Yet the part we actually do the best job of is hiding. Yet the part we actually do the best job of hiding is not the unsightly debris of our own mess, but rather the stunning beauty of God's grace. The fear that demands we protect this false image at all costs leads us to unwittingly declare a false gospel at every turn. Jamie Ivey finally grew tired of doing that, tired of being too ashamed and insecure to let others see the full extent of what God was capable of doing with our unworthiness. So she quit hiding. There is a really good chunk of this book that deals with shame. I think that part is really, really important. She does talk about her own experience, but there's a big paragraph that just like, I remember listening to it and being like, oh my gosh. This is so relatable for anybody who's ever felt shame or who is still living in shame. So if there is something that you're really ashamed of or that you're working to get through, if you are still living in shame, I highly recommend this book. It's a really, really good one. It's such a beautiful shot of God's grace and what he can do and how forgiving he is, and just it's a great book, and I highly recommend that if you feel guilty or shameful or anything like that. Okay, so that is basically all of my favorite personal development, mostly faith-based self-help books, if you will. That is my favorite genre. I've read a couple of fiction books on Audible, which I do like. Let me know your favorite fiction book down below. I think I like young adult novels. I love romance novels, things like that. I haven't really gotten into like adult romance, not like that. But I don't know, I do think I would like romance novels. So leave your favorite ones down below and maybe I'll look into them. But yeah, that's everything for this video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss any future videos of mine, and I will see you guys next time. Stop believing, what? So my second favorite, no, mostly faith, what?
Some work in progress, good things go slow.